Hey guys, this is Fuberdudes, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Generations Combiner Wars Devastator. And I picked this guy up at Big Bad Toy Store, and he's finally arrived, and I'm super excited to open him up and just mess around with him and stuff like that. But taking a look at the box here, he's got really cool, just super cool box art right there. Those almost look like Fall Cybertron figures or Transformers or whatever, but anyway, you can see that it comes with the 6 Constructicons, and their vehicle modes look generally the same, and it comes with the collector's card, and we'll get into that stuff later. So anyway, this thing's really big, by the way. So you got a nice Decepticon logo right there. I don't know how well you can see that. Sort of, yeah. And then Hook, Long Haul, Scavenger, Bonecrusher, and it's going to be hard to move this over, Scrapper, and Mixmaster. So that's really cool. And now we can come to the side. You got a nice picture, and it's not focusing here. Nice picture of Devastator right there. That's really cool. And then on the back, you got this thing, and I'm going to try to flip this around. You're supposed to put it up like that, and I apologize if it's really hard to see. But there you got a cool picture of Devastator. I think that's life size, actually. He's 18 inches tall. It's the tallest combiner ever, which is really cool. And he has a bio right there if you want to read that in multiple languages. So yeah, 45 centimeters, 18 inches. That's kind of cool. For those of you who use the metric system, there you got all the Constructicons again in their respective robot and vehicle modes. And then you got a warning thing down here on the bottom, like nothing except for the Generations. It is authentic. This is not a knockoff. And the Combiner Wars logo right there. So that is about it for this box. So I'm going to open this up, and now we can review him out of the box. Alright, so here we have the Constructicons ready to go. And already they look really large. Like, just for a quick comparison, here's my hand, and this is how big these things are. These things are huge compared to the G1 figures, and we'll get to the size comparisons later. I have them all transformed in their vehicle modes now, so we can do them one by one, and so that's what we're going to do, pretty much just like how I did my G1 Devastator review. So we're going to go kind of like this. It's really weird, but we're going to start with Scavenger here. And he's the same type of vehicle. He's the scooper vehicle that scoops dirt or whatever. And this thing has a fairly decent amount of articulation. You can turn it like this. He can bend about that far down. This thing does bend. It's kind of like a double hinge. And it can go about that far back, but that's due to transformation. So that's about all you can do in vehicle mode. These treads don't roll, but they do have little wheels right here and kind of a rolly thing here and 2 wheels here. So he does roll decent. He doesn't slide like some toys do. But yeah, that's about it for his vehicle mode. So to transform, it's really simple. All these guys are really simple. You just put this all the way back there, untab his legs, and just keep them loose. Rotate this bit down, and just keep his legs loose for now. You want to rotate this like so, and then rotate this piece all the way back like that. And then his arms come up on a double hinge, just like that. And for his legs, this thing is really hard to get untabbed. It's really tough, but once you do it, it's not that hard to move everything around. You want to rotate the legs all the way down like so, and then rotate this black piece up like this, and then rotate this piece up. And so it kind of tabs into place. If you push it, you'll hear it lock into place, just like that. So, and then these pieces, they lock into place like that, and so his legs don't move. And this one already did it for me, but I'll show you on this one. You just extend it like that, and then you split the feet apart, and so they become flat like that, and so they have a heel spur and toes. So they're the legs. And then with the arms, his hands kind of give me a tough time sometimes, but there we go. So that just comes up and clicks into place. This one doesn't give me a problem, at least not that much of a problem. I spoke too soon. There we go. That was easier to get than the other one. So yeah, and then all you have to do is pull this piece back, flip out the head, close it back up, and there you have Scavenger all transformed in his robot mode. And they don't really come with any weapons, and I'll go over what weapons they do come with later. But yeah, there he is in his robot mode. Very decent looking figure, very cool, pretty good representation of the original figure. Very nice head sculpt. All these guys have really good head sculpts. It is on a ball joint, so you can look up and down. Not really so far up, but more so down. You can kind of get a slight head tilt. His shoulders are on a ball joint, so you get a lot of free movement there. His elbows are on a ball joint, so a lot of free movement there. Nothing really at the wrist, except for if you want to do that with his wrists. He doesn't really have any waist rotation. He does have ball joints at the thigh, so he can go in, out, back, and forth. And he can rotate at the thigh. He can bend at the knee. Actually, that's rotating at the knee because his knee's on a ball joint. And his feet have really good posability. So that's pretty cool. You can wiggle his toes too if you want. So that's it for Scavenger. So let's put him back here. And if I can get him to stand. Now we're going to get to Mixmaster. Now, I do have them technically backwards here. This is supposed to be the front. I'm sorry, but that just looks ridiculous. I'm just going to drive him like this from now on because this is going to be the front for me. But technically, this is the front, just for your information. But, yeah, his transformation is fairly simple, too. So what you want to do is untab his arms, like so, and then you can rotate them up there on a double hinge. And these can be tough to do. Come on, there we go. So, untab, double hinge. This arm is the one that gives me a tough time to do. You untab the barrel from the feet, you rotate the feet down, split the feet apart, and there you have the feet. This thing just kind of hangs here, which is kind of unfortunate, but whatever. You want to grab this whole green piece, rotate it back, and up top here you can see, if you rotate it this way, his head comes up, and you rotate this back, and it just tabs into place. And there you have Mixmaster all transformed, and in his robot mode. So, next we're going to do Hook. So here we have Hook. Very cool looking vehicle mode. This thing doesn't work except for, the only thing it does is this. That's really unfortunate. I know there's an upgrade set where you can make this extend and make this thing rotate. But yeah, he does have wheels, he does roll. Nothing really that you can see on here except for the Decepticon logo and the head turned backwards. But yeah, fairly decent, pretty good detail even though these are Hasbro figures. So, to transform him, what you want to do is untab the arms. Pretty much all these guys, you just untab the arms right away. So, you rotate these down on double hinges, and then you can untab these pieces, just put them down like that, and then untab this, pull it apart like that, and that way it gives you free room to take a double hinge and move this piece down, and then you want to move these down, which will become the feet. Rotate this down, and then, this might be hard to see, but there is a tab right here, and they tab into slots in here. I'll kind of show you what I mean. Tabs into there and into there, so it locks everything into place. So rotating this down, this piece tabs into there and this piece tabs into there. So the legs hold together fairly nicely and very secure. And then you want to rotate the fists out, like so. They have little tabs here that you can grab and rotate the fist out. And then just click into place, which is very nice. Rotate this out. And then you take this whole piece and you rotate it down on a double hinge. And then you can take his head and rotate it, hold the hook thing down, and there he is in his robot mode. And very good representation once again. Looks pretty much like the G1 toy, and again we'll get to the comparisons fairly soon here. But he does have decent articulation. This thing kind of rotates, but you have to move this thing kind of out of the way to be able to do that. His head is on a ball joint, so he can get free range of movement. He does go in and out, but again, this thing kind of hinders it. He does bend at the elbow. It's a really interesting looking elbow. It's really thin and really weird. He does rotate at where the elbow moves. Nothing really at the wrist. No waist rotation. He does have a universal joint at the thighs. It does rotate. He does bend slightly under 90 degrees. And he has really good foot articulation. This thing came untabbed. So he can rotate it, and this piece just pops off. It's not on like a bolt or anything. It's like squeezed on there. So I think I got that thing back on. But yeah, I can rotate like that. It can look up and down. And so the articulation is fairly nice with him. And I believe I forgot to do articulation for Mixmaster. So let's do that real quick. He does bend slightly under 90 degrees at the knee. He's got some pretty, very extensive ankle rotation. His head is on a ball joint, but it's really hard to get at just because of this whole thing. This is on a rotation, and then he goes kind of in, kind of out, and nothing else really. He does bend at the elbow. He does rotate at the elbow. Nothing really at the wrist. They're just solid. They don't even do anything, and they're attached to it. So there's the articulation for him. So now we can move on to the biggest one of the bunch, long haul. So I'm just gonna move these guys over here. So long haul, he's really large. There's nothing really else to say. He's supposed to be kind of big, just so he can accommodate the largeness of Devastator. Like you can see, this is Devastator's crotch piece. I mean, he's a fat boy, and he's really stocky and pudgy. He's kind of like a dwarf. But it doesn't bother me too much. Some people were complaining about that. But this thing doesn't work, unfortunately. He does roll, though, on his plastic wheels. This crotch piece does kind of give dog hairs. Thing gets everywhere. So this crotch piece kind of gives some clearance issues with the wheels, but it's not too bad. He's got a nice Decepticon logo right there, and yeah, he looks pretty much like his original toy. So to transform him, you can untab his arms back here and just kind of leave him out like this. Untab this whole section here, just take it and rotate it up like that. Just leave that like so, and then take these, rotate them down just like that, just to get everything out of the way. Move the arms up, rotate this all the way around, rotate these back up, and then if you, these are really heavy ratchets, as you might be able to hear. You rotate these out, and these will become his feet. So do that on the other side here. Move these heavy ratchets back, rotate his arms, just keep them like so, and then take this piece, fold it down, and it clips in right here. I don't know if you saw that, but here, I'll take it out. There's a hole right here and a clip. It just clips in right there. Rotate this back. This tabs in, and I didn't show that. There's a tab right here and a tab right there, and that just tabs right into place. You got a peg right here to flip up his head, and that tabs into place. And rotate his arms all the way up as far as I can go. And there you have Long Haul in his robot mode, and yeah, I think I like his vehicle mode better. I'm not really a huge fan of how weird he is. First of all, the articulation's messed up. Minus, the head's kind of on a swivel ball joint. If it is on a ball joint, I can't really tell. He can't move very far. He does rotate here. He just kind of go in and out slightly. His elbows, though, they do that, and not really anything else. They just do this, so he can flail his arms. He's on a heavy waist rotation joint, but that's kind of hindered by this backpack. He does have really heavy ratchets at the thighs. He does bend at the knee. He does rotate at the knee. He can't go very far back. He does have good ankle pivot though. So there's Long Haul. So putting him back there, moving these guys. Now we can move to Bonecrusher. So with Bonecrusher, he's actually my favorite out of the group. Scrapper would be my favorite, but I'll get to an issue with him later. But as far as like the robot build goes and the overall look of his vehicle, he pulls it off the best. So he is a bulldozer. This thing does sort of work. It's on a double hinge, so you can move it out farther if you want. Very nice representation. Does look fairly similar to the original. He doesn't have any. Well, he has two wheels here, and he has the thing just like Scavenger, so you can roll sort of. So that's pretty cool. So for the transformation, you just untab these legs. They just kind of flop around, and just kind of move this out of the way. Then you want to untab this piece and just leave it. It's on a weird mechanism here. You untab the arms, rotate them forward like that, and his transformation, he's kind of a floppy mess, but his G1 toy was always like that too, so I can't really complain. Moving these forward, this thing, you can just, there's a tab right here and a slot right there. This just tabs right in like that. And before you do that, you want to flip this piece up, fold out the head. Very nice head sculpt again. All these guys have great head sculpts. And so that all tabs into place, and you can just leave this like so. These come back, they rotate out like so. They're all in ball joints, so you rotate this, and then his arms just fold up like that. And then the legs, they're kind of tricky. Actually, I'm just going to put this thing up. You just want to fold it up like that, just like the original. His legs are really interesting. You put these up, and it might be hard to see, but there's a million tabs in here that this thing's supposed to tab together with. It's really hard to get, but once you get it, it sort of, but not really stays. Yeah, this could be a big problem in the future if it doesn't want to tab in, because most of the time I have a really tough time trying to tab this thing together and making it stay for one. But I think I got it this time. So you extend the legs, just like Scavenger, and just like Scavenger, you also rotate out the feet until they tab, and lock into place. And already his crotch piece is coming undone on me. I'm trying to tab this all together. There we go. So there's Bonecrusher, and as you can see, he looks really good in his robot mode, and also his vehicle mode too, so that's why I like him the best. Very nice head sculpt. Doesn't really look like the toy, but it looks more like the cartoon, which I like. He's got a nice Decepticon logo right there, just like the original toy. Yeah, all these guys really have good paint apps too, very similar to the stickers that the original had. So for articulation, his head's on a ball joint, but he can't look up and down very far. He's got a ball joint at the shoulder, so he can have full range of movement there. Ball joint at the elbow. He has a double hinge, so he has really good elbow articulation. He can rotate because of the ball joint. Nothing at the fist. No waist rotation. His leg is on a ball joint, or his thigh is rather, and he can rotate on a ball joint at the knee. He can bend at the knee, and you can move his toes just like Scavenger. So there is Bonecrusher. So last, but certainly not least, we have the leader of the bunch, Scrapper, and he's my favorite Constructicon. Not out of this group. I think like aesthetic wise, he's my favorite, but like in terms of like personality and stuff, Scrapper's my favorite. He's always been my favorite Constructicon. So taking a look at him, he's kind of his scooper thing again. I'm really unfamiliar with the names of these kind of vehicles besides like the crane vehicles and dump trucks and bulldozers and stuff, but like this, I'm not really familiar with what this thing is called, but it's kind of like a scooper thing. So he can reach that far back, which is really cool, and he has a double jointed thing there. He does roll. If you move this up, it doesn't hinder it. It doesn't really hinder it when you have it down, but it could be better. So to transform him, just take this thing back and just leave it like so. Untab his arms, and then untab his legs up here and rotate these pieces down. And take the feet, rotate them like so. And then you can split this. There we go. So it splits. And then there's a peg right here and a hole right there. And this just tabs right into place, and it locks the whole leg together. Same over here. And his legs are pretty much done. So with his arms, all you have to do is fold out the hands, and they don't really tab into place. They just kind of sit down there. And then you pull up his head, just like the original toy, and I move that. You can pull up his head until it clicks. And this is really cool. It just compresses like that, and it stays nice and kind of kibble free, unlike the original. And so he looks good. Like, don't get me wrong, he looks really good. It's just the one downgrade to this figure is he has no elbow joint. Like, he could rotate, but he can't bend, which I think was really lazy on Hasbro's part. Luckily, there is an upgrade, so I'll probably be getting that in the future, maybe. But yeah, you can't really bend at the elbows, and I expected a bit more because these are supposed to be updated, articulated figures of the original Constructicons, and none of them really had elbow joints in the original toys, but come on, Hasbro, you can do better than that. But, it doesn't, I mean, I still like the guy, but it doesn't, it's just kind of a disappointment. But for articulation, his head's on a ball joint, really nice head sculpt again, so he's got pretty good movement there. He can rotate at the shoulder. He can kind of go not quite 90 degrees that way, but still pretty far. No bending at the elbow. He does rotate there, nothing else. He does have a universal joint on his thighs, so he can go up, in and out. He can rotate. He can bend at the knee, and he has really good ankle pivot. Hey, he has good ankle pivot. We don't need elbow joints. So yeah, there we have all the Constructicons transformed and everything. I'm trying to adjust my camera here. Just gonna raise it. There we go. Alright, so there we have them all in the robot modes, and they look fairly good together, actually. I'm surprised. Like, I wasn't thinking that these guys were gonna look like too terribly good together because of the pictures I saw. Let me tell you that in hand, they look a lot better. The pictures that Hasbro take, they just look so bad. I mean, they make them just look so weird. But anyway, here they are, and they look really good. So, in terms of weapons, there's not really a whole lot of options, which is another disappointment. Now, Scavenger and Bonecrusher are technically the only two assigned with weapons. And it's really interesting. They come with the fists that become Devastator right here. And they kind of turned them into box guns. It's really interesting. So, I believe this is Scavenger's. If I pull the hand out, yep, that's Scavenger's. This is Bonecrusher's. So, there's a little piece right here that you fold out, and he can hold. So, taking Bonecrusher here, It's a really interesting weapon choice, but Hasbro likes to do that with these Combiner Wars figures. So he can hold that, and I'm going to move Scrapper over here so I can get Scavenger. With Scavenger, you take this, the same thing, you just pull this thing out, and they kind of work. I think these things look a bit more ridiculous than the hand-foot guns from the other Combiner Wars, and they're a bit top-heavy, so it's hard to get them to stand. So, they actually do look better than the hand-foot guns. They're just a bit more ridiculous, if that makes any sense. And, oh, one thing I did forget to show off at the very beginning, he does come with a collector's card. So, you got that same thing up there and the Generations logo on the back. So, there's that. So, technically, the instructions don't say there's any other weapons, but you do get a bunch of other pieces, like this. These are 3 other ones, and then if it comes with this, these two combine to make the Devastator gun. But you have this, and this has a peg right here, and I always like to put this one with him. I tried to read the instructions. They didn't really tell me where technically these were supposed to go. So if you guys know where they're supposed to go, then I'd be very happy to know where they would go. But anyway, I like to give Hook this one just because Hook's one of the more important guys, at least in my mind. So you can do that with him. And with Mixmaster here, these weapons, they're kind of interesting. I suppose you could do this, or like this, so it's like a sword or something. I don't know, but they just don't really give him a whole lot of good weapons, which is kind of unfortunate. And his crotch piece came undone again. Jump cut. Okay, I fixed it. Took a while, but I got it eventually. Alright, so the last weapon I possibly have is this, and I could give that to Long Haul just because, it's not really important. But yeah, the weapons are kind of sketch, as you can see. This is okay. The box weapons are decent. Hooks is okay, but these 2 things don't really work as weapons, and you can't really use anything else unless, I suppose you could use this. I'll take this off of Mixmaster. There is a peg right here, so yeah, actually you could use this, so never mind. They all have decent weapons except for Long Haul, but he thinks he's the least of the group, so it doesn't really matter to me. So I'm just going to get to size comparisons now, moving these guys back here. For Scavenger, bringing in his old one, mine's loose. Here's his old G1 self. Kind of a size difference. Here's Scrapper. And I'm trying to fit these guys all on camera here. I might have to scoot this back slightly. For a Hook, there we are. And again, I'm gonna have to try to fit this all on here. Probably the most drastic change is Long Haul. There's the G1 Long Haul. I'm gonna swap these guys just because it's easier to get him to stand. So there's Mixmaster. Here's Bonecrusher. So there's G1 Bonecrusher, and there's G1 Mixmaster. So his arms blocking Scavenger. And his leg split again. Jump cut. Alright. If it does that thing one more time, I'm gonna flip. That's just, again, a really big problem. And, little Scavenger back here has a little problem. Everything that's been said about that has been said, so I won't add anything. So, as you can see, quite the size difference. They're about twice their height and twice their size. Just really big. And as you can see, they look very similar to their original figures. I mean, they're only like slight differences. I mean, obviously, these G1 figures were not as well engineered as these things are. I mean, well, you can beg to differ about that because these guys have metal and stuff in them, but overall, the articulation is better on these guys, or the Combiner Wars figures. So, there we have the size comparisons. So, I'm going to take these guys all off now. And off screen, I'll use Movie Magic to turn them into Devastator. So actually, that's what I'm going to do now. With Movie Magic, I'm going to put these guys into vehicle mode. So we're going to go from this to this. And now we can do the vehicle size comparisons. So here is G1 hook, G1 Scavenger, G1 Scrapper, G1 Bonecrusher, G1 Mixmaster, and G1 Long Haul. And as you can see, quite the size difference. I mean, he could lift this up in his own little scooper thing, and same with Scrapper. Yeah, I'm really glad I got this set, because my G1 Devastator wasn't very tall, and now I have a really, really, really big Devastator, so I'm actually really happy that I got this. So, taking these guys off, I still like the G1 Constructicons, though. Don't get me wrong, those things were really good for their time, the way that they engineered that thing to combine together. So, speaking of combining, let's get these guys into Devastator mode. So, what we want to do first, we're just going to go left to right. So, we're going to start with Bonecrusher. And to put him into limb mode, you just untap the legs, just like so. You fold this piece out, like that, and just kind of leave these. And then you take, I have to figure out which one is his arm. He faces this way, so I believe this is his arm. You fold this piece out. That's not his arm. This is his arm. So you fold this piece out, and you rotate the wrist like so, and then you rotate this like this, and then there's a hole right here. I don't know where you can see that. And there's a peg in here. You might be able to see the peg in there, and that just tabs right into place, and you have him ready to go. And these didn't want to stay pegged in, so I have to redo that. There we go. So there is one limb. Next we have Scavenger, and he's relatively the same. You just fold this piece all the way back up like that. This whole thing, you might have to untab the legs here. That's actually a smart idea. You take this and you rotate this down. Just leave the legs and tab them in up here. Right there. And his arm faces this way, so you want to rotate this like so. And you take his arm and you rotate this. And this thing can pop off, by the way. It's just on a thing that you can pop right back on, because these are really tight. So, there's a hole right here, peg in here. This just tabs right in and stays nice and secure. So we have both of the limbs done, at least for now. Once we combine them, then a few things will have to change and stuff. But anyway, for Scavenger here, you just take this, and this just kind of sits like that. And then you take his arms, you untab his arms, rotate them all the way around, and then you push them back, and they kind of tab back into place. So, just like that. And then you take these, and you want to rotate these up, and rotate his feet up, because these will tab into something later. So, as you can see, there's a bunch of tabs in here and stuff. So, he's done for now. For a hook, you take him, you want to untab these, just kind of get his feet out of the way. He rotates at multiple places. He rotates here, and also up there. And so I'm just going to have to try to get the arms out of the way. You want to bend these, his elbows, about, I believe that's 90 degrees. So you rotate this, and trying to get this out of the way here. Just tab this back into place. This, there is a little tab right here, and a little place for it to tab in. And it just pegs right into place, and you can put these back. And you want to have this arm, and just kind of leave it like that for now. I won't pull the head out until later, but his head is somewhere in there, in case you haven't guessed already. So, I believe that's it. Oh, wait, no, you want to pull this piece out, because that tabs into something. And then this, you want to pull that out too. So you have two tabs here and here. So, there is part of the torso. Now, taking long haul here, you pretty much want to untransform him like all the way. So you take this piece, you untab that, you untab this, fold it up, fold this piece down, untab the arms, clip this into place, keep the head down, by the way, fold these all the way up, fold his arms all the way up on themselves, like so. And these just kind of stay, and you leave these like so, and then you want to fold these bits all the way down, right here. Like so. And then you want to open these up right here, like that. And that way you can tab those pieces into the new pieces, and this can just tab right back in the back there. So I believe he's done now. I think, yes, he is done. So he's putting them back there. Here we have Mixmaster, and again, this is the front, but it's kind of interesting. You want to fold this up and put it like so, and you want to untab this. Actually, untab his arms first, because you might snap those, so you gotta be really careful, because I always keep forgetting that. But anyway, you want to untab his legs, fold these up, and that way you can grab these pieces and they come down just like this. Fold these back, tab these back together, if you can, or if I can. Holy cow. There we go. Tab it back together, clip this back up into there, and you want to take this piece, and this becomes heel spur. You flip it out like so, and there you have another leg done. So to get this guy together, I'm gonna have to move a few pieces out of the way, like hook and the limbs. So getting them out, except for the legs, getting the arms kind of out of the way. This is kind of tricky, but as you can see, you just have to line everything up. We're gonna start with Scrapper here. He comes in on this side. There are a million different tabs. For one, there's this thing that kind of holds everything together, and then there's that clip right there. So really, there's just a million tabs in here that you have to line up, and they do line up. And what's nice about this is, since there are a million tabs, it stays locked into place very securely. And I did miss one. I forgot to show you. There is a clip right in here, and if his legs stay tapped together, this thing right here goes into there. So I'm just gonna fold his legs down because this might be easier. Just slide that in, and that kind of helps you start. You put this, tab that in, tab this in, and everything just kind of stays put. So there you have one leg, and the next leg, once we get the legs done, I can move him back and you can see better. So I apologize if you can't see. There's another kind of slide joint right here, kind of like the scrapper thing. So that slides in just like so, and these tab in like that. This tabs in like so, and the legs are locked and secure, and then you can split these apart. And he does have ankle pivots, but you have to untab the hands to be able to do it with him. So that's really nice that he has ankle articulation. So he's already getting really tall. Just raising up the camera just a bit more ease. I apologize if you're going to see some of my background stuff, but I can't really help it just because of how big this guy is. So I'm going to have to raise my camera up significantly here. I believe this is the highest it can go. So I have to readjust my camera here. Sorry about that. Just moving Devastator over here. Yeah, I'm going to have to stand up for this. So you take this piece, and you got a hole right here, and a thing right here. I don't know, it's like a clip, and then you see those pieces, they just tab in, just like so. You got to move this out of the way for this. Actually tab it, and then there's a tab right here, I believe, that tabs in, and then this also tabs in somewhere up there, if I can find it. So I'm just going to move the arm all the way back. So it clips in very securely. There we go. There's one. There's two. There's three. And is there four? Yes, there is. Right here. There's four. Alright, so we got that pegged in and all into place. So now we can start with the limbs. Taking Bonecrusher here. Oh, one thing I did forget to do. You want to flip these up, and then out comes the joint, and then just close that back up. Same thing over here. This doesn't really open up. You just kind of pull it out with your fingernails if you have any. So there you have the arm tabs. And so taking him, there's a hole right here, and again, I don't know why you can see that, so I apologize. There's a hole right here, and that just tabs in, and then there's a peg here, and then there's a peg hole in his leg right there. And so I like to swing this out just so I can get it in more securely. So obviously plugging this in right away, that stays in fairly securely. So I'm just gonna try to rotate this. And I apologize again if you can't see what's going on, but This thing doesn't want to stay tabbed in. It's so massive. So plugging this in, this just pegs into the bottom here. And again, this, I don't know what's wrong with this arm. Usually it stays tabbed in. Well, I'll try this again. There we go. I think it's staying now. There we go. Alright, so we got one arm attached, and I really do like how this kind of adds some upper body stuff. Like on the original one, this was part of the arm, but I really like how they did that. So, last and pretty much least, we have Scavenger here, and he has the same sort of mechanism, except for there's one slight problem I'll get to, and I'll get to that later. But there, you got this pegger here, and you got the hole right here, and tabbing that in. I'm just going to try to move his arm out of the way. Back here, there's the same tab mechanism in here with the arm. So this thing came untabbed. Up in there. There we go. Alright, so putting this in there. And there we go. Scavenger didn't want to give me a hard time. So, hey guys, sorry about the jump cut there. I was just, I had to readjust my camera just because it was in a really awkward angle. Now he comes with a bunch of other pieces. Oh, actually, just these three. They do all combine together to form his chest piece. So I'm going to try to get this on camera. There's a hole right up in here. And as you can see, the peg on there. This just goes in, boom, we have a chest piece. And this also tabs into a million different places, so I'm going to have to try to come around here. You got a little tiny tab right here. You got two tabs here, and this one doesn't like to work because there's a small little tab in here, and this doesn't want to close all the way, so I can't fit in there. And then there's a hole right here, so it still stays, but it's just kind of unfortunate. So these tab in too, and hopefully this chest piece will keep Bonecrusher more tabbed in. And I forgot, that's one thing I also forgot. And Scrapper doesn't want to stand up on me. This whole thing shifts over this way. I can't move it back just because it'll be way too hard to put back. But anyway, tabbing this into the leg of Bonecrusher. And then there's a tab right here that this keeps pretty much everything in super securely. So there we go. That's about as well as I can put it on with what I have. So he does come with a gun. I'm just gonna tab that together just like this. Pretty good looking gun, by the way. Putting that down. Last but most certainly not least, we have the head. You untab this piece, and then there are two tabs here and here, and there are two tabs on here. You flip this around. This tabs into place, and there we have the biggest combiner ever. Combiner Wars Devastator in his enormous robot mode. Just move my camera back, and you can see my lighting and everything, so I apologize, but this guy's huge. I mean, here's my hand. This guy's enormous. So you can take his gun here, just bending his elbow. You can just slide it in there. It doesn't really tab into anything, but it holds decently. Yeah, just so big. I don't know what else to say. Hasbro really did a great job on this. I have to say, the engineering, everything fits together. There's no loose kibble. Nothing is, there's no loose ends. It's overall just a great figure. I highly recommend picking this thing up. And I'll put a link in the description below if you want to get it from Big Bad Toy Store or TF Source or whatever. So, for articulation, and actually I forgot to show you one thing. This has to go down like it doesn't have to, but if you want to be G1 accurate, you can rotate this however you want. I just keep it like that. So, for articulation, his head is just a swivel. No ball joint switch. It could have been nice, but it's not that big of a deal. His arm is on a swivel, like so. You can move in and out. You can rotate the elbow. You can bend at the elbow 90 degrees. You also can bend backwards at the elbow if you want him to. For the wrist, it rotates, and you can open up his fingers, and that's about it. That's pretty much all you can do with the fingers, and move this tab out. So he does rotate at the waist with heavy ratchets, and I just dropped his gun. As you can hear, you can move these skirt pieces up to accommodate the thigh articulation. You can move in and out. He's really stable. He's not loose at all, which is really good because he's really big. Because if he was loose, he would suck to handle with. So he does bend at the knee right here, about 90-ish degrees. He does have ankle rotation, which is very nice. And you can move this thing around, but I would not recommend doing that just because of him collapsing and stuff. So yeah, that's about it for articulation. So now we can get into size comparison. So moving Devastator right along there. Actually, I'm going to try to move him to the side. He's just so big. So putting him there, and some more sand. There we go. Putting Devastator there. So I suppose for the first size comparison, we better do this right here. G1 Devastator. Who doesn't like to stand? Come on, pal. There we go. So as you can see, he's huge. I mean, this thing I thought was fairly decent size, and this is with the upgrades, by the way. I thought this thing was decent size, but as you can see, Combiner Wars Devastator just outdoes this. Well, it doesn't outdo it, but it outsizes it by far. I still really like this figure. I still would recommend picking actually both of these guys up. They're really good, a really good addition to your collection. It really shows how far Transformers have come from where they started. So it just really they're both really good. I really enjoy having both of these figures. So now just to get a decent idea of how big this guy is, here he is next to a deluxe figure. So there is Armada Starscream. That's like perfect. I love that scale. That's really good right there. So there's Armada Starscream. Taking him off. Here he is next to a Voyager class, and that still works. Still works very well with Spring here. I got dog hairs all over again. Gets everywhere, I tell you, everywhere. So keep falling him over. Alright, so he'll stand. There we go. There he is next to a Voyager class, and that still works very well. So taking him off. Here he is next to Leader class Jetfire. And that still kind of works, actually. It's not like terrible even. Like, I don't know. It's not too bad. Like, that's how tall like a G1 figure would be next to like a G1 Devastator. So like this is like G1 Optimus Prime next to G1 Devastator. It's like kind of that sort of scale. So it sort of works. It's not great, but it's not bad either. So now I suppose people want to see this. We'll stack them up next to some Masterpiece figures. Here's Masterpiece Wheeljack. He's actually about Voyager size, so that works very well. So he actually kind of does fit with my Masterpiece collection, which is really cool. Here he is next to the only Autobot Masterpiece I have besides Prowl. Here's Masterpiece Optimus Prime next to him. That actually kind of sort of works, actually. I mean, it's not great. I mean, if Devastator was like maybe like 3 inches taller, because he's about half his height. So that actually works, sort of. So taking off Masterpiece Optimus Prime. So now we'll bring in some Decepticons. I know he's not Masterpiece, but he's as tall as the Masterpiece. So here is G1 Shockwave. And his leg collapsed on me. He was always taller than the G1 Constructicon, so finally he can work next to another Devastator. So taking off Shockwave. Here he is next to Masterpiece Starscream. So that actually still kind of works. I mean, he's shorter than Optimus Prime, so he's about, I'd say, 2/5 the height of the Devastator right here. So taking off Starscream. Here he is next to Rumble. And he's puny next to him. He is just nothing compared to Devastator. So taking off, I'm surprised that both him and Frenzy could take these guys apart. So taking off Rumble. Here he is with Soundwave. So that still sort of works. He's about as tall as Masterpiece Optimus Prime. A bit shorter, but that still kind of works, actually. So, taking him off. So now we'll get some combiners on here. Here he is with Fall of Cybertron Bruticus. He totally manhandled that punk. Bruticus is not that tall compared to him. I'm surprised that... I don't know, holy cow, this guy's just huge! So taking him off. And finally, here he is next to Superion. who's slightly taller, but not tall enough. So, yeah, this guy's huge. I mean, I thought this guy was big. He looks puny compared to him. This guy is large. So, taking Superion off here. So, that's all I'm going to do for size comparisons. So, you get the idea. This guy's humongous. Is he the best combiner that we've had so far? At least official, anyway. Yes, in my opinion, this is the best official combiner we've gotten so far from Hasbro or Takara or whatever. This thing is so big and so cool. I don't care how uncomplicated he is. I don't care how unsophisticated some of the articulation is. This guy just shines in his Devastator mode. And this game on tab. There we go. So, I highly recommend picking this guy up. He's up for Big Bad Toy Store. He's actually right there, so you can buy him right now. He came really fast shipping, so I really like Big Bad Toy Store because they work really well with you. But I also put a link in the description if you want to order from TF Stores too, because I know that they have Devastator as well. But I don't think there's anything really else to say besides this guy's awesome. You should pick him up. He is the best official combiner so far. He's actually, I have to say I don't have Hercules, but I've seen pictures of him, and from pictures, Hercules did look pretty cool, but this thing just looks better. He looks more like the G1 Devastator. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Fuberduge. Please check out some of my other reviews if you want to see some of those, and also some stop motion videos that I also have. So, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Keep playing, guys.